Welcome back to the BSB Bookathon, everyone. Tonight we have Meghan O'Brien and Elle Spencer here to read and answer questions. And just a couple of housekeeping items. If you click, well, there's just two of them, so it doesn't really matter. But if you were to click on the gallery view, you'd see them both in your screen, but that probably doesn't matter. If you have questions for them, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. They'll get to some questions after they've done their readings. If you want to just send some comments of any kind, feel free to type your remarks in the chat box and watch that chat box, because I'll be posting information about a flash sale on their books. And also, if you were present for the Heat is On panel earlier, we've extended that sale for another hour, so it's going to be going on another hour. So without further ado, I'm going to let you get to Meghan and Elle, and they're here to entertain you and have fun, you guys.
Okay. So, Meghan, is that moonshine you're drinking out of a candy bar?
It's water at this point. I took care of the alcohol before the reading started. Now I'm trying to make sure I can still read.
Okay, well, I think we should start with a toast because I have a drink. So here's to all of the awesome authors who have taken time out of their days to do this, and also all of the people who have...
All the readers.
Yeah. Big toast to all of you. Cheers.
Cheers.
And I'm going to take an actual sip.
Oh.
Okay, so I can't believe I'm on a reading with the queen of erotica. Like, either someone loves me or hates me. I'm not sure which. But Meghan,
well, thank you.
Are you going to be reading a sex scene by any chance?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm reading the first chapter of Sex Therapist Next Door, which is a little flirty and a little suggestive and kind of sets the scene, but I wasn't sure I could. A little much for me, I think, right now. So, yeah.
They're hot.
They are, but to read aloud, I'm not sure.
Okay, well, because I was going to say there's absolutely no way that I'm going to follow Meghan O'Brien reading a sex scene. So, but
you can go first.
I still don't want to follow you. So,
or I can go first.
No, I'll go first. Okay, so I guess we just start, right?
I guess.
Okay. So here's my latest book, Waiting for You. It comes out May 1st, May 15th everywhere. And it is a contemporary romance with a past life twist. So I'm going to read, all of the book is the two main characters as adults, but I'm going to read the prologue because, and in the prologue, the main character, Lindsay, and her best friend, Patty, are teenagers. But that gives you an idea of where the past life premise comes in on this. And also, there's an underlying theme in this too about friendship and how important it is for the two main characters to have the relationship with their best friends. So, so here we go. Let's see. Okay, kids, welcome to Lesbian Story Hour. And I say hour because it's us first, me and Meghan, and then after that it's Georgia Beers and Julie Cannon. And you guys probably don't know this, but Georgia Beers has a big crush on me because I remind her of a certain celebrity. So, Georgia, if you're out there watching, and you know, we can't hear a damn thing of anybody, so I'm just in my head thinking that Georgia's out there, and she said, right back at you, babe.
Obviously.
So, there you go. Okay, anyway, here we go. Prologue for Waiting for You. Lindsay woke with a start and nudged Patty. Wake up. I'm just resting my eyes, Patty mumbled. Patty, wake up. Lindsay was more forceful this time. Her confusion over what had just happened left her feeling disoriented and vulnerable. And Patty's insistence that the blinds in her room be closed for effect, as Patty had put it, meant she couldn't see a damn thing. Lindsay was over it. I'm not kidding. This whole thing was stupid. Get up. Patty snorted and smacked her lips together. But I'm so relaxed. Stuck between the wall and Patty's dead weight, Lindsay scooted to the end of the twin bed and stood. You won't be when your dad catches us ditching class. Patty bolted up. What? Is he? She grabbed the bottle of peach schnapps off the nightstand. Calm down, no one's home. Lindsay took the bottle and gave Patty a gentle push back onto the bed. All I meant was, it was stupid to do this. This is past life bullshit. Lindsay yanked on the cord to open the blinds. The midday sun caused both of them to slap a hand over their eyes. God, Linz, you couldn't just twist the rod like a Norton and gently ease us back into reality? Lindsay stomped over to the bed and sat so she could put her shoes on. Maybe they could get back in time for gym class. And she could burn off some of this unexplained anger and frustration. I'm over it, okay? Let's just get back to school before we get caught. Okay, calm down, crazy person. At least we got a nap in before the party tonight. And since when are you dying to get back to that shithole they call a learning institution? Lindsay never should have gone along with Patty on this one. She'd humored her before with the Ouija board and the tarot cards, but when they found CDs at a tag sale, Lindsay should have never agreed to buy them. No nap for me, just... Patty sat up again. Just what? Lindsay leaned over and rested her face in her hands. It all felt so real, but that didn't make any more sense than watching the Ouija board spell out Satan, because of course that's what it would spell out for two girls who were looking for a chic thrill in the form of a good hair on the back of your neck standing on end scare. It took Lindsay a whole month before she could sleep without her lamp on. She eased back up and turned so they were face to face. I don't know for sure. Maybe it was just a dream. While you weren't napping? Patty raised her eyebrows. Tell me. Lindsay felt embarrassed. She'd never thought of herself as bisexual. But this was Patty, her best friend in the whole world, who definitely had a thing for girls. If she couldn't tell Patty what had happened, who could she tell? Okay, listen, Lindsay said. I'll tell you because of our status. Patty raised an eyebrow. Tell me more about this status, because if we're a thing and I didn't even know it, I'm going to kill myself. Our BFF status, dummy. I trust you to keep this between us. Patty zipped her lips and threw away the key. I got you, boo. Okay, here goes nothing. She took a deep breath and said, I was in love, madly in love, with the most beautiful. You were in love with a girl? Patty squealed with excitement. Not a girl, a woman. We were both grown-ups. Like grown-up? Like old? I don't know. Like in our late 20s, maybe? 30? Lindsay covered her face with her hands. It felt so real. I can still smell the smoke. Smoke? Was there a fire? On her breath, Lindsay said, when she kissed me. Patty's eyes widened. Oh! Was it gross? Not like that time Eric Brown kissed me after he'd smoked half a pack at Fly's house. That was like licking an ashtray. Not like kissing a girl. Was it weird? Lindsay shook her head. Not at all. She took in a deep breath and covered her chest with her hands. Just thinking about it made her heart beat faster. We were so in love, but people wouldn't leave us alone. Who? I don't know. I just felt like people were, after us. She shrugged. It's hard to explain, but all the feelings were there, except everything was blurry. Everything except her, Rue. Rue, as in kangaroo? I'm kind of getting confused here, Linz. I don't know, I guess. I mean, that's how she wrote it, R-O-O. Lindsay understood Patty's confusion. How could she make sense of it when Lindsay couldn't find the right words to express how real it all was? the passion, the fear, the longing, the heartbreak. Words failed her in that moment. Okay, Patty said. So you're dreaming about making out with a chick, and people are after you, and she's what, signing autographs? So she's famous, cool. It was a letter, Lindsay interrupted. What? I was holding a letter in my hand. She'd signed it. I will love you forever, always, Rue. Patty tilted her head. What kind of a name is that for a girl or anyone? Was Lindsay making this up? How had her mind conjured up such a silly name for such a beautiful woman? Maybe it's a nickname. How should I know? Patty put a hand on her arm. But you loved her? Lindsay held back the tears. With all my heart. Yeah, I loved her. Wow, Linz, your past life was way more interesting than mine. I'm pretty sure you slept through yours. On the arm. Besides, in this life, there's no Rue, just Ben, who you haven't done more than kiss yet. Lindsay shrugged. Who knows? Maybe I'll go all the way tonight. Ha, you're too much of a prude. Lindsay scowled. I am not. Linz, I adore you, but you just used the phrase go all the way to refer to sex with your boyfriend. You, my innocent child, are a prude. Oh, I'm sorry. Would it be cooler if I talked about banging him? Not until he asks you to go steady and gives you his class ring to wear around your neck. Cool, hussy. I hate you. Patty got off the bed. Hussy! She bolted out of the room, laughing. Hussy, hussy, hussy! Lindsay heard the bathroom door slam. She could have chased her, but her thoughts went back to that smoky kiss and a girl named Ruth. And the crowd went wild.
I'm going, well, that was very well done. Now I'm worried about following you.
Oh, don't be.
All right. So should I?
Yeah, your turn.
So I am reading from The Sex Therapist Next Door, which is not the latest thing I've got. And this is the first chapter. Roused from the couch by an insistent knock on her apartment door, Jude Monaco prepared to dismiss whichever friend or former lover had decided to drop by unannounced. Instead, she fell into stunned silence at the sight of her next-door neighbor, Diana, the beautiful, relatively older woman for whom she'd been carrying a particularly lusty torch for the past 13 months, anxiously shuffling her feet on the welcome mat, elegantly dressed and openly distraught. Her vivid blue eyes lit up at the sight of Jude, which made Jude's heart sing. She opened her mouth to offer Diana an effusively friendly hello, barely thinking to wonder why someone she'd merely spoken with accepted trade casual pleasantries in the laundry room or at the mailbox would knock on her door this late on Saturday afternoon. Before Jude can attempt a charming greeting, Diana broke the ice with an awkward wave. Hi. She cleared her throat, so overtly nervous that Jude's stomach churned. I'm not sure if you remember me, but Diana, of course I remember you. Opening the door wider, Jude leaned against its blessedly sturdy frame and attempted a carefree smile. How's it going? Hi, Diana repeated, somewhat unnecessarily. And well, it's... She took a deep breath and dodged the subject. You're Jude, right? That's me. Jude folded her arms across her breasts, wishing she'd worn a bra to the door. If she'd known it was on the other side, she would have stopped to throw it on. What can I do for you? Well... Diana grew redder with every second of uneasy silence she allowed to stretch out between them. After an unbearably long hesitation, she muttered, cheeks aflame, you know what? This suddenly feels like a really terrible idea. I think I should... She moved a half pace to the right, clearly flirting with the urge to flee toward the safety of her own apartment. Sorry to bother you. Diana. Jude stepped into the hallway to catch her neighbor by the wrist. What's going on? Did you need something? Diana jolted at the contact, so Jude let her go and allowed her gaze to drift to Diana's luxuriously thick hair, which fell just above her narrow shoulders and boasted a smattering of gloriously silver strands woven throughout the natural dark brunette. Flustered by the thought of how often she'd masturbated herself to sleep with Diana in the starring role of one of her go-to mature older lover fantasies, Jude struggled not to reveal how attracted she was. It always seemed painfully obvious that Diana considered her a bit of a kid, probably even a wild child, given that they shared the wall of Jude's busy bedroom and its revolving door of sexually liberated and frequently vocal women of every age, shape, and color. Of course Diana looked at her and saw her as a child. How could she know what Jude really wanted, who she really was? Jude didn't share those hopes and dreams with just anyone, not even the women who graced her bed. Diana managed a tense smile. To be perfectly frank, I came over here to ask you for a completely batshit, wholly inappropriate favor, a request that would have resulted in you slamming the door in my face. which I would have totally understood, actually. I'm not sure why I ever thought, but I wasn't sure what else to do, so asked me the favor. More intrigued than intimidated after that rambling disclaimer, Jude beckoned for Diana to follow her into the apartment. How about you come first? Maybe it'll be easier that way. Diana scoffed and shook her head, yet drifted closer. I'm not so sure about that. Believe it or not, I am a pretty person, once you get to know me. Jude held open the door, grinning as Diana tentatively walked past. I promise not to be offended, regardless of how inappropriate this favor turns out to be. Diana released an explosive sigh. You sleep with women, right? Jude closed the door behind them, glad she thought to suggest taking their conversation somewhere more private. Her intrigue had become stark fascination. Emboldened by the nature of Diana's query, Jude quipped, Sleep usually isn't all that high on my agenda, but... She winked, then extended her arm to entice Diana even farther inside. Yes, I date women. Why? Are you looking to set me up with someone? Because I should warn you, I'm not necessarily in the market for a serious relationship right now. Unless you have to be matchmaking for Michelle Pfeiffer. Then maybe. Twisting her hands in front of her, Diana glanced at the couch Jude was attempting to usher her toward, but seemed reluctant to move away from the door. Sorry, studying Jude with seemingly renewed interest. I'm thinking she's too old to be your ideal match anyway. You can't be more than, what, 23 or 24? 26, actually. Tired of waiting for Diana to relax, Jude strolled to the couch and sat at one end. For the record, Pfeiffer is 59, sexy as fuck, and I don't believe in setting age limits on attraction. Diana's eyelashes fluttered, gaze drifting to the floor in apparent recognition of Jude's effort to drop a hint, even if their own age difference ran closer to 10 or 15 years. After a drawn-out silence, Diana took a seat at the opposite end of the couch. She angled her body toward Jude's and looked Dud in the eyes. I'm not quite sure how to start, so I guess I'll tell you a little bit more about myself first. She inhaled. My full name is Diana Kelly, and I'm a trained psychotherapist, sex therapist specifically. Mostly I work as an educator, of a sort. She fidgeted, making Jude wonder if she wasn't doing an adequate job of appearing non-judgmental. That's so awesome. Jude flashed Diana a big, everything is cool smile. I mean, I love sex. It'd be amazing to get paid to talk about it on a daily basis, let alone teach people how it's done. Her vapid response seemed to loosen some of the tension in Diana's delicate shoulders. She returned Jude's smile, maintaining eye contact despite her now perpetually flushed cheeks. Most days I absolutely love my job. Tonight, not so much. Diana took another steadying breath, then pushed on before Jude could offer more reassurances. I've been hosting these couples workshops for women. Each week I cover a different topic, usually a new technique or position, or fresh ideas for foreplay, like spanking or roleplay. The goal is to offer erotically charged sexual instruction for women in a safe, judgment-free environment, with the hope that my students will leave inspired and dormant fires will be rekindled. Jude couldn't help but squirm excitedly at the image of Diana instructing a classroom full of horny women on the best ways to make each other come. Before tonight, she'd only seen Diana as a person who treated their elderly, wheelchair-bound neighbor, Gwen, kindly, always taking out her trash and regularly walking her small, scruffy dog. To discover this new aspect of Diana's personality exhilarated her. Far more turned on than she would have ever anticipated possible, especially with an entire couch cushion separating them. Jude cleared her throat before attempting to respond to the bombshell revelation about her not-so-mild-mannered neighbor. Sounds fun, and like noble work. Diana chuckled, yet also seemed pleased. Noble, huh? I can't say I hear that very often, at least from non-clients. The corners of her eyes crinkled adorably when she smiled, making Jude's clit jump. But you're right, the work can be very satisfying. Not always, but often enough to keep me going. Deciding Diana had to feel at least slightly more at ease after her demonstration of respect, Jude surrendered to impatience and begged for the answer to her most burning question. Please ask me your favor. After that disclaimer, I'm willing to bet it's not anywhere near as inappropriate as what my perverted brain has conjured up. Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that. Diana attempted a brave smile, but her hands were shaking. You'd be surprised. Jude's heart raced. So surprise me. Diana pulled her phone out of her jacket pocket, glanced at the time, then shielded her eyes with her free hand and sighed wearily. These workshops, I have this friend, Ava, who usually assists me. And her assistance is essential because, well, I employ a hands-on teaching style. My classes are meant to be interactive, with one's partner, of course. Ava plays the role of my partner, so I'm able to demonstrate what I'm telling my students. Jude barely resisted the urge to pinch her own arm. She wasn't dreaming, but she also wasn't entirely convinced that what seemed to be happening was really happening. Afraid to speak, hell afraid to move, she impersonated a statue and simply listened. I'm not sure I want to know what you must be thinking. Diana peered between her fingers, wincing sheepishly at Jude's wide-eyed stare. about what I do for a living, about why I've told you all of this as a precursor to the inappropriate favor I never should have come here to ask? Yes. To hell with waiting to hear details. After all this buildup, she couldn't fathom not doing anything Diana asked. I'm in. Whatever you need from me, I'll do. Enthusiastically. Diana's breath caught, an almost inaudible hitch that uttered to ever more dizzying heights. Maybe wait to hear what you're agreeing to first. Shivering, Jude murmured, all right, why don't you tell me what you need, Diana? Diana delighted her with a full-body shudder. Ava called about an hour ago. She fell and hurt her back seriously enough that she's at urgent care having images taken to assess the damage. She said she's okay, not to worry about her, and please don't cancel tonight's workshop, which is the very last thing I want to do, believe me, since I would hate to disappoint 16 clients, refund all those registrations, and lose the rental fee for the space. But as my students signed up for a highly specific type of experience, an experience I can't easily provide without a partner of my own, I'm not sure I have any choice but to cancel. I can't very well ask these women to expose their bodies, their sexuality to the group without doing the same. Not to mention, certain concepts are much easier to show than tell, especially for the more visual learners. Amused by the attempt to rationalize her insanely arousing teaching method, Jude took a chance and leaned across the empty cushion to rest a hand on Diana's rapidly bobbling knee. You came over to ask if I'd fill in for Ava tonight, didn't you? Women, a lot. Diana appeared stricken, flooding Jude with the momentary terror that somehow she'd managed to get this wrong. She removed her hand from Diana's knee, then sucked in a startled breath when Diana caught her by the wrist and tangled their fingers together. Awestruck that she was literally holding Diana's hand after pining for months in secret, Jude struggled to stay focused, to avoid getting swept away into a lurid fantasy that would further embarrass one or both of them. Diana gave her an affectionate squeeze. That is why I came here, yes, but I realized my mistake the second you opened the door. I can't in good conscience ask a much younger neighbor to bear a body for a room full of strangers, let alone allow me to touch her section just to save myself a few $1,000s. Jude raised her eyebrows. A few thousand? Are you kidding me? Sure you can. Ask away. Jude. Diana exhaled at length and stared up at the ceiling for a few beats before turning her attention back to Jude. Tonight's workshop is on cunnilingus. You have to let me go down on you in front of 16 women, most of whom will be at least a decade older than you, if not two. Jude tilted her head, genuinely perplexed by the last part of her disclaimer. Why are you so focused on my age? I already told you that part doesn't bother me, or rather, it doesn't bother me. She stroked her thumbs over Diana's teasingly. On the contrary, I've always wondered what it would be like, the touch of a more mature, more experienced woman. Diana laughed, looking equally flattered and taken aback by the bold right girl for this job. Admittedly, volunteering to have my pussy eaten by a gorgeous sex therapy counts as a selfless sacrifice. Jude raised her hands to her mouth and kissed Diana's knuckles, noting how she shifted in her seat, losing all that money, especially since I've got nowhere to be tonight anyway. So yeah, since you brought it up, she arched an eyebrow, I'm the right girl for this job. As in, I've never been self-conscious about showing my body to people. I positively adore oral sex, both giving and receiving. And this wouldn't exactly be the first time I came for an audience. She smirked at Diana's subtle reaction to her disclosure, an easing of her posture that signaled an acceptance of Jude's sincerity, and clear relief at her exhibitionancies. This would be a job, by the way. Clearing her throat, Diana disentangled her hand from Jude's and combed her fingers through that wondrous hair, meaning I'll pay you. Only $500, unfortunately, but $500? Jude's head spun at the thought of making almost a third of her former bi-weekly salary in a single evening, or having an orgasm with her fantasy lover. I could go up to $600, but that's, whoa. Jude waved her hands to stop Diana from reducing her profit margin any further. $500 is more than enough, given all you're really asking me to do is lie back and let you lick me. She lowered her hands and narrowed her eyes. Is that all you're asking? Basically. Diana folded her hands on her lap, coming across far more prim than should have been possible. I'd appreciate a little verbal interaction during the lesson, along with voting the act, to offer the students some idea about how well my techniques work. I highly doubt that'll be a problem. Surprised by the mild heat crawling up the back of her neck, Jude admitted, I'm not exactly shy about letting my satisfaction be known. Perfect. Diana gave her a careful smile. How do you feel about letting me penetrate you with my fingers? That's a deal breaker if you'd rather. You can put your fingers inside me. Jude shifted her weight, keenly aware of how wet this conversation and Diana's proximity was making her. Her neighbor's hesitation was palpable but pointless. Jude couldn't envision saying no to anything Diana offered, especially if you want to make me come faster. Diana swallowed, throat rippling in a way that made Jude's mouth water. Good to know. Beyond that, yes. All I'm asking is for you to let me perform cunnilingus on you in an educational setting for $600. $500. I don't feel right taking any more than that. She barely felt right accepting money at all. Having the chance to play out the stunningly kinky older woman fantasy in real life, but this no less was compensation enough. She stuck out her hand, waiting for Diana to shake and close the deal. Instead, Diana hesitated. Glancing from Jude's hand to her face, she said, "You don't think this will complicate our relationship? Meaning, you're a good neighbor, despite the occasionally loud fucking in all hours of the night." "Sorry," Jude winced, remembering a particularly voracious screamer she brought home around a month ago. "I'll be sure to start covering their mouths after midnight." Diana ran her tongue along her top lip, then bit back a smile. "That won't be necessary. There are worse nighttime soundtracks than two women having mind-blowing sex." Wait, had Diana ever masturbated herself to sleep with fantasies of her? Jude loved that such a possibility even existed, whether or not it had actually happened. Forcing her mind back to the question she'd been asked, she said, "I think this needs to complicate our neighborly coexistence. Talking about this simple business transaction, right? You need to hire a last-minute substitute assistant. I'm more the position. We've successfully negotiated a salary. Nothing complicated about that. Sure, you're hiring me for sex, but that doesn't mean things have to get weird between us. We both know what this is. You're looking for someone to bail you out, and I'm looking to spice up and earn some much-needed extra cash. Seems straightforward enough to me." Diana reached across her buffer cushion for a brisk handshake. "Okay, then. Class starts at 7. I can either text the address to your phone or you can hitch a ride with me. Your choice." "I'll ride with you." Startled when Diana hastily stood, Jude followed with her eyes as she hurried toward the door. "What time do you want to leave?" Diana swiveled to face her. 6? "I prefer to get there early so I have time to set up before the students arrive." 6 it is. Jude rose from the couch as well, mentally planning the remainder of a now busy afternoon. That should give me plenty of time to shower and groom. Great. Halfway through her turn toward the door, Diana stopped her with more kindness than she was used to seeing from anyone, ever. "But please don't go crazy with the grooming, at least not on my account. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable and attractive by all means, but," she smirked, "well, I've read your generation is more likely than mine to feel compelled to shave themselves bare. I want you to know that as far as I'm concerned, pubic hair is a natural, functional, perfectly lovely feature of the feminine landscape. Its presence won't impede my appetite in the slightest." Shaken by Diana's perceptiveness, Jude managed a nonchalant smile. "Noted. All right, then. See you at 6. Diana put her hand on the knob before looking back at Jude one last time. "And thanks. For sex, of course, but also for being open-minded. I was afraid you'd be offended that I would think to ask you at all, but I have to say this turned out to be much easier than I ever expected." Jude grinned. "You mean I turned out to be much easier than you ever expected?" Chuckling, Diana opened the door and backed into the hallway. "More charming, too. And older." Jude followed Diana into the hallway, watching as she stopped in front of the next apartment. "A whole 3 years, remember?" She answered Diana's playful eye roll with a toothy grin. 26, not 23. Diana shook her head and opened her door. "A bona fide grown-up, I remember. You're about to find out exactly how grown-up I can be." Thrilled by the verbal foreplay, Jude kept on teasing. "Aren't you?" "Suppose I am." Lips quirking, Diana moved halfway into her apartment, then tipped her head in farewell. "Go on, then. Take your shower and get ready for school." I feel like I took a very long time to do that. I'm very sorry.
Okay, I think we all need to read that. Okay, yeah, so we don't have much time. So the first question is, when will Meghan have a new book release?
That is a question that's going to have a very quick answer, which is basically I don't know. To be honest, have been having a little trouble writing for the past year or so. I tend to go through peaks and valleys, so hopefully soon. But I don't have a set date for anybody, unfortunately. How about you, Elle?
So Waiting for You comes out in May, and then I have another one, Christmas themed book that will come out in November called The Holiday Treatment. So so next question. How do you choose your MC's names? When you decide on one name, does it help you to come up with a second name? Yes. So names are a struggle sometimes because you're not sure who your character is yet, and so I have been known to change the name to suit the character better. So it's random. How about you, Meghan?
Pretty random. I mean, I try not to have character names that sound too much alike, so in that way they tend to dictate each other. I don't want to have two names that sound too similar. But other than that, and then just going through like the list of all the names I've used before and trying to come up with a new one. And with every book that gets harder.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Hey, kids.
Huh?
Hey, it's Carson here.
Hey, Carson.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Is it time?
I love you both. I'm sorry we have to move to the next session.
Okay. Georgia and Julie, let's go.
I just want to say that you've gotten lots of great comments, and we really appreciate you both. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Next up is Georgia Beers and Julie Cannon. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Hey.